Last week, we brought you names like Jalen Waddle,
Ooh.
okay, Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith, Rashad Bateman. We're going to go a little bit deeper into the draft class. Rookie wide receivers, rookie radar on the show today.
Oh, boy.
Let's get straight to it.
Welcome to the Fantasyland Football Podcast.
Okay. Hello.
What up?
Welcome into the show. Get cozy, wherever you are right now. If you're running, you're doing a jog, congratulations. Good job waking up and starting the day right. If you're on the couch just chilling, that's okay too. All right. Little steps. But thanks for joining the Fantasyland Football Podcast. I am Zach. This is Badaki. However you're starting your day, you're starting it right with us.
That's right.
There's actually no time to waste. Let's actually get into news. There's some big news that just broke.
What is going on here?
All right, what's going on in the National Football League? This is your need to know news, and my goodness, it's a big one. Broke yesterday, and kind of just talking about it now. It's J.J. Watt.
JJ Swat.
J.J. Watt is officially an Arizona Cardinal. 2 years, $31 million, $23 million guaranteed.
Interesting.
A lot of people excited. Padaki, are you one of those people?
Look, my initial reaction when I first heard it was like, wow, that's good. It's good he got signed. But I'm not actually extremely excited. I don't know why. There's no reason why I'm not excited. I think, it's great that he's found the job, and it's great that he's on a new team. It's great that he tweeted himself that he was traded to the Cardinals. Or not traded, picked up by the Cardinals, sorry. I thought that was pretty cool, but I'm not excited. I think he would be a good locker room presence for that defense. I think he would bring, age and maturity. But other than that, I'm not excited to see what he's going to do. I know he's going to be great. Cool.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I found the news, and I started watching a video on YouTube from ESPN, it was. And they're talking this up as if this is the move of the offseason, as if J.J. Watt is going to come into Arizona and this is now a Super Bowl contender. I don't even think that they're the best team in their conference, in their division. In that division, the NFC West, I don't think they're the best team there, even with this move. They couldn't make other moves. I just want to remind people, J.J. Watt is an absolute talent, but he has had a lot of injury issues since, 2016, I believe. Yeah. He has been injured most years. In fact, there's only 2 years he played the full games. That's 2018 and 2020, since 2016. In 2016, he only had 1.5 sacks, only played 3 games. 2017, he played 5 games, didn't have a sack. Right. In 2019, he played 8 games, had 4 sacks. And last year, he played all the games, okay? All 16, he had 5 sacks. Does this have a little bit to do with the fact that he was on the Texans? Yes, it does. Right. But still, I don't know that he's not getting any younger, guys. I'm not sure that J.J. Watt is a player he was. I think he can come in and contribute 8 sacks, maybe 8 to 10 sacks with this team. Yeah. But don't expect the 20 sacks per season J.J. Watt with the Cardinals. It's just, I don't see this making as big of a difference for this team as other people do.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's about it. We're going to see how he's going to contribute to this defense and to this team. But look, your Washington football team is expected to release comeback player of the year, Alex Smith, Purdue and Rappaport. How you feeling?
How am I feeling? You know what? I think this whole situation has been looked at in maybe the wrong light. And I want to firstly say, everyone who knows I'm a Washington fan, you'll probably know that I have never been afraid to say we have so many issues in our organization, and there's a lot of things that need to be fixed from top to bottom, and we've done some great steps. But I think this whole Alex Smith Washington football team debacle, I would just want people to think about it from a different perspective. Keep in mind, Alex Smith almost lost his life. Okay? Not his leg. He almost lost his leg. But more importantly, Alex Smith almost died. That's not an exaggeration. He literally almost lost his life because of this injury.
Yeah.
Most franchises probably are not going to allow a player to get back on the field and play after they almost lost their life to that same game. Right?
Right.
I would like to commend the Washington football team for giving Alex a chance to come back and play the game that he loved. However, this is a business, guys. And I think Washington did everything they could to help Alex Smith. There are reports that, they didn't want him to be back. Of course, this dude almost lost his life. Why would they want him to play again? Could you imagine if he got injured again and lost his leg, for example? I know it's a little bit out there, a little bit extra, but imagine that did happen. What would the conversation be? Man, Washington shouldn't have put him out there. Washington ruined the rest of his life. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I think they did well with this scenario.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think my big question is what's next for Alex Smith? Is he going to get signed to another team? Is he going to retire from the NFL? Is he going to go to, announcing or reporting? Like, I'm interested to see where he's going to go. I think he can start a foundation for like NFL injuries, bad injuries. I don't know if there's a foundation out there like that. I would have no idea.
The last thing I'll say on Alex Smith is just, I loved the story as a Washington fan last year. I loved the story. But I'm not going to lie. Every time I saw him tackled, I was worried for his life.
Absolutely.
And
I remember.
Alex, I know you'll never hear this, but I just want to say you have proved everything and more. There's nothing left to prove. You could retire right now and everyone's going to be way more proud of you than an average career. He's had an amazing career. There's nothing left to prove. Retire, chill with your family, have a great rest of your life. I just don't see much left for his career that he could accomplish.
Yeah, I agree with you. Kenyon Drake, hasn't been much dialogue right now with the Cardinals. Obviously, they just signed J.J. Swat to a deal. I mean, clearly there's dialogue with the Cardinals are having dialogue with people, but just not with you, Kenny.
Yeah. It's like that time. It's like when your friends, they plan out a hang. They're like, hey, let's go hang on this day.
Yeah.
And then someone's like, hey, man, are you doing anything? Nah, man, none of my friends are hanging out. Well, they are.
Yeah.
They just didn't tell you about that hang. Right? You're the one left out.
Oh, man. Well, that's what Kenyon Drake, I think Kenyon Drake is, he's sitting down waiting. He says, talked about how teams are still trying to figure out their cap situation, which is true. I think we all know it's 180 right now, 180 million, but still they're trying to still figure it out. But Russell Wilson as well. Sorry, quickly. That JJ Watt news, I think maybe hurts Drake's chances of returning to this team. I just want to throw that out there. Yeah, I believe so as well. That's not little money. 2 years, 31 million isn't. That's not just throwaway money, guys. That's big money for JJ Watt, especially where he is at this part of his career. Russell Wilson, go ahead. Yeah, Russell Wilson, obviously we all heard the reports of what's going on with him and, how quote unquote would happily be or wants to be traded, or there's so many different reports. It's not clear. Is it Russell Wilson saying he wants to be traded, or is it the Seahawks saying that we would like to trade Russell Wilson? Or
the Seahawks have never said that they would like to trade Russell Wilson.
And that's what's so confusing. It's not clear right now.
There's nothing confusing about it, honestly. It's Russell Wilson wants out. The Seahawks don't want him to leave.
I don't know. It's a bit fishy. It's a bit fishy, this whole report.
It's black and white to me. I think Russell Wilson doesn't want to play there. I think he will play there. He'll get over it.
Right. But
there's reports from Adam Schefter that he's got a bunch of destinations. Chicago is apparently a destination he is okay with. A lot of news today. A lot of things we had to go over. There's going to be a lot of things changing, a lot of pieces moving, people signing, trades, free agency. The easiest way for you to keep up with all things NFL and fantasy football is to follow us on our social media accounts. And there's one link that will take you to everything we do as Fantasyland Football. That link is solo.to/fantasylandfootball. Again, solo.to/fantasylandfootball. You want to find our Facebook page, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, so you can watch the show all through that link. Super easy for you to find. Let's talk about part 2, Rookie Radar, the wide receiver group.
I'm a firm believer. Where you go is more important than when.
Okay, on last week's show, last week, we talked about Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, and Rashad Bateman. You know I'm high on Rashad Bateman. Badaki likes him, just not as much as me. And we're going to talk about some deep sleepers in this draft. And you know what's crazy? Some of these guys still might go in the first round that we're going to talk about today. Yeah. There's a realistic chance that some of these guys still go in the first round of the NFL draft. Who's the first guy we're talking about in part 2?
Yeah, Kadarius Toney out of Florida. And you actually have him ranked higher than me on your big board, wide receiver 5. I actually have him at wide receiver 6. But why are you so excited about Kadarius Toney?
My gosh. Kadarius Toney, just from a pure athletic perspective, he might be the best athlete at the wide receiver position in this draft.
Right.
He might be. When you scout him, when you look at the things that he can do on a football field, it actually does blow your mind. It actually does make you go, wow, I could see him impacting an NFL team this way. He's not the most complete, but he might potentially have the biggest raw upside potential at the wide receiver position in this draft. I'm not saying he's the most complete wide receiver, but from an upside perspective, he might have the highest upside. He has a pretty decent body for a wide receiver in the NFL. 6 foot, just at 6 foot. Some reports say 6, some say 5'11",
right?
Some say 6'1". I mean, all these are a little bit different, but we're going to put him at 6 foot, 194 pounds, a pretty good body for a wide receiver. And I personally see him, he could be a guy that comes in and impacts a team in multiple different ways. What does that mean? He's great in the return game. Believe it or not, that is something that NFL teams really do care about. It's not fancy. It's not sexy at all. But if a player that you draft can help you in special teams, that's an edge for your team.
Yeah,
a way for
huge.
you to win more football games. He's a great returner. Let's talk about him a little bit. I mean, he signed with Florida. Obviously played with Florida in college, but he actually signed to be a quarterback because he played quarterback in high school. So that is something that I think gives him a little bit of an edge as well. He has the ability to understand what a quarterback is thinking. Played a little quarterback. We actually saw tape of him trying out with Florida to be the quarterback. He actually battled for that job. He lost it. And the story with Toney in college was, man, there's potential, but man, he's injured.
Yeah.
Or man, he's got some issues off the field. And then in 2020, his senior year, he finally put it all together. And all that being said, even when he quote unquote struggled, Kadarius Toney in his entire career only dropped 3 catches out of 123 catchable balls thrown to him. That being said, he impacted this team a lot as a senior. And Kyle Trask emerged. Toney emerged. This team showed that they were a great team in the SEC. I like him. I love him. I think quickly, let's look at some of his strengths. I believe, in my humble opinion, there's not another wide receiver that has better after the catch ability. What does that mean? Think about the modern day NFL. Think about the screens. Think about the slants. Think about the way the NFL is set up to put athletes in space and succeed.
Right.
Toney is that type of player. Put him in space, allow him to succeed. And we have seen in his tape, in his scouting report, that he can do that. He can absolutely take space and utilize it. He's a twitchy player, great balance, can line up in the slot, in the backfield. He can do jet routes. This guy is a guy that you can line up anywhere. I'm really excited for him personally. I know you're not as excited, but I think he absolutely has a chance to come in and make an impact from day one.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think he's a great athlete, and everything that you're saying is right. And I think, his stats speaks for itself and his ability. If you watch his tape, he has an amazing talent. I think I would rank somebody higher, a little bit higher. But look, I think he's a good guy. I think he can come in and he's going to come into the league and he's going to make his dent in it. You know, I think he's going to have an exceptional career in the NFL. And I wonder. I'm actually really excited, fantasy perspective, of where he's going to fall. You know, I kind of think of him in a draft, and I was going to say he can be like. It sounds kind of contradicting myself, but early, late rounds, if that makes sense. You know, like what, 9, 10? Is that early, late rounds? Would you consider that?
You mean in fantasy?
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, that really is determined on where he lands. If he lands with the Jets and the Jets still have Darnold, he's going to be a guy you can grab in the 15th round if you have 15 rounds.
Right.
But you're right. He can obviously make an impact. I see him as a player that if you give an offensive coordinator a guy like this, he's going to be a very happy man. How am I going to utilize this guy in my offense?
Right.
Obviously, there's parts of his games that need to improve. He has a bigger size, but a lot of people say he doesn't play that physical. He doesn't play up to his size. He could improve his route running. I missed some times with some injuries. And then lastly, there is some character concerns, some off-the-field issues he has experienced in his career.
Which is
we don't want to get
massive.
too in depth in that, but it is something to consider, right? We have seen off-the-field issues hurt players' careers.
Absolutely. You know, I think for Kadarius Toney is going to be how he interviews with all these teams, and how a lot of it is how he is as a player, but who he is as a man. And, you know, I mean, like I said, we're not going to go into details of, you know, those character concerns and what's happening on off the field, but you know, it is a big thing. I'm not a huge not supporter.
Well, the way we have to think about it is how a GM would think about it. Every time a GM puts a player's name on a piece of paper and that player is drafted, that is an investment.
Yeah.
So think about it. I invest in stocks myself. If I am going to invest in a stock, I better damn well know what that stock is and why I'm investing in it, right?
Yeah.
That's how they look at players. Some player comparisons. My favorite player comparison, a lot of people say Percy Harvin. I think when you look at player comps, it feels like every player is being compared to Percy Harvin this year for whatever reason.
Absolutely.
But the most accurate player comparison, in my opinion, is Deebo Samuel out of San Francisco. The similarities in their game to produce after the catch, to find space and exploit it, is eerily similar. It's actually scary how similar their gameplay is. And a lot of people might see that and think, you're telling me you're excited about this guy and his upside is Deebo Samuel?
Bro,
Guys,
Deebo can ball. If you're somebody that's doubting Deebo Samuel, you need to watch what he has done.
Deebo is a baller, and the only issue with his game has been injuries.
That's exactly what I was about to say.
We would be talking about Deebo way differently if he didn't get injured.
Yeah, if he can play a full season, Deebo's up there. And think about that if you're a Deebo Samuel hater. But obviously a lot of potential landing spots for Kadarius Toney. Obviously the Patriots we don't think he'll go in the first round. If he falls to the Patriots, I think it would be more in the second round. Packers, the Jets, the Lions, the Colts are kind of all the teams that we think of when we see Kadarius Toney.
I think likely he is to go either late first, mid second. I don't think he falls out of the mid second round, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think it really depends on how these teams value these guys. If the Jets are like, we need a guy who can come in and impact, and they take Darnold or they take Wilson, maybe they take a chance on a guy like Toney, right?
I mean,
so
yeah, you're right. I hear you.
I think there's a chance he goes in the first. I really think there's a chance. He is that good of an athlete, genuinely. But while I'm more excited about Kadarius Toney, I'm a little bit more high on him. You have Terrace Marshall Jr., that is, out of LSU, ranked higher. Why should we be excited about Marshall? I believe he is your wide receiver 4, my wide receiver 7. So obviously there's a difference of opinion here, and that's okay. So why should we be excited about Terrace Marshall, Badaki?
Look, I love Terrace Marshall. I think he is the guy, in my opinion. He's 6'3", 200 pounds. I think he is a massive talent. He's huge. Don't get me wrong. Once again, 6'3", he's probably one of the bigger top receivers in this first round group. Okay, first to second round group. He has the NFL size for a wide receiver. He can contest the catch. Mind you, 6'3". He's gonna go up. He has that wide catch radius. He has a good burst of speed. Look, I like to compare him purely per size, not talent, size. A-Rob, okay, Michael Thomas, Julio Jones. I think of him in that body. And if he can crisp up his abilities and really master his craft, I believe he can be like these guys. Okay. Obviously, he does have some weaknesses. You know, there's a lot of unknown if he can actually be the wide receiver one. But you know who was a question mark of becoming a wide receiver one? That was Devontae Adams. He came into the league. Okay. Obviously, he had the talent. Obviously, he was this guy that a lot of people, you know, the Packers picked him, and he was like, well, we don't know if he can be this guy. He struggled his first 2 years, but what did Devontae Adams do? He mastered his craft. And I think if Terrace Marshall can master his craft, then he can really excel in this position. I love the bigger wide receiver, okay? Yeah. I think a true wide receiver one, which we've all have seen, obviously the NFL is changing, but which we all have seen are 6'2", 6'3", 6'4", like the A-Robs, like the Michael Thomas.
Okay,
Devontae.
what about the weight though? He doesn't have that 6'3" weight. He's only 200 pounds.
I think that's a given. I think that's a given that, you know, when you get into the NFL, depending on, you know, your position and how you're playing, you're either going to lose weight. The NFL, whoever team, you know, you get on, you're going to lose weight, or you're going to put on some weight. Okay, I expect Terrace Marshall to put on, 15, 20 pounds, you know, a lot of muscle weight for sure, muscle mass. So I believe Terrace Marshall is an extraordinary talent. Obviously, he was the other guy in LSU in 2019. Yeah. You know, he had obviously Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. He was only in 7 games in 2020. Only has 7 drops out of 55, but I think that's really good. You know, I think that's really good. He can definitely improve. 7 is a lot. Anything over for me, 5 to 4 to 5. That's like, whoa, bro.
Well, especially if you only got thrown 55 catchable balls.
Yeah, look,
that's got to be a weakness.
It definitely is a weakness. Like you said, like he has weaknesses. Everyone has weaknesses. Okay, yeah. But there was some drop issues for him in 2020. But I think that can once again be improved. He has to master his craft.
Yeah. Yeah, he does have to master his craft. He did put together a nice little season in 2020. Only 7 games he played. He did have 730 yards and 10 touchdowns. So, to be fair, he did have a decent game. We have found Dan Orlovsky out of ESPN comparing him to Michael Thomas. I'm not sure I love that comparison, but I see the similarities. And honestly, pro comparisons are so difficult. Like, you're not going to get an exact comp.
Yeah, it's hard.
That's just the reality. Justin Jefferson is another guy we have seen. I don't love that comparison because I believe Jefferson was a more complete wide receiver coming out of college than Marshall is. I think there's a lot of areas of Marshall's game that need to develop. But he does have the body, and that is something that should excite you when you look at a guy like Terrace Marshall.
Yeah.
Wow. Big body, has the size to grow into, if you will. So I get it. I see it. But what are some potential landing spots for Terrace Marshall? What makes sense?
Look, first team I can think of. First I'll tell you the teams that need a wide receiver. Okay, the Lions, the Ravens, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Texans, the Eagles. Okay, all right. I think obviously all these teams can take Terrace Marshall, but the first team that popped up to me right now that I have on this list is the Ravens. Once again, I think I spoke about this.
Why it's every team you're saying these are?
Yeah,
if there's a big wide receiver, but Naki's the
it's
Ravens.
A big wide receiver.
Like that meme where there's a button and the guy just smashes
it. It's the Ravens, yeah.
You're like, bro. Wide receiver? Is he big? Is he tall?
Ravens. I mean, look, if you are Ravens fans, you know that you need a big wide receiver. Okay, you have Hollywood Brown. You have I forgot the other guy. They got drafted last year.
Duvernay.
Yeah, Devin Duvernay. Look, you need a bigger guy. Devin Duvernay is. I can't even tell you how tall he is. Let me look that up. But I believe that he's 6 foot at best. Okay, I believe that if you get a bigger wide receiver like a Terrace Marshall.
Just to clarify, Devin Duvernay is 1.8 meters.
You gotta love it, you know. Meters. Convert it.
Let's see. Which is 5'10". He's 5'11", 5'10".
That's it. That's a big jump. That's a huge jump. Obviously, the other big guy is Mark Andrews. He's a tight end. Get freaking Lamar Jackson, a big receiver that can go up and contest the catch. Yeah. Terrace Marshall would be that guy. So I love that fit. Obviously, the Packers, the Chiefs. Once again, the Chiefs, they need a bigger, tall guy. Sammy Watkins could be out of there. Obviously, Tyreek Hill is a smaller, speedy. McCall Harmon, speedy. All these speedy guys. I get it.
Yeah.
That's my perfect fit.
Okay, so the only thing I get it for the Ravens, but I hate it for fantasy. If he goes to the Ravens, I hate that for fantasy football because I am on the side who believes that Lamar Jackson will probably not be able to have a fantasy relevant wide receiver. I don't think Lamar's game can create or produce a top 20 wide receiver in fantasy football. He can produce it with a tight end, but we have never seen him been able to do that with a wide receiver.
I guess
I would love to be proved wrong. I would love it. I'm not saying I'm so stuck in my ways. I would love to be wrong.
I guess my rebuttal would be, what about Kyler Murray? Okay, I believe
they are completely different players.
I understand. But Kyler Murray tends to tuck it and run a lot more than as a fantasy owner that has somebody like a DeAndre Hopkins. Don't get me wrong, DeAndre Hopkins is a talent in himself. We know he's going to be top 10 at best.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all because Kyler Murray his arm is completely different to Lamar Jackson. Lamar's a better athlete, but Kyler Murray's arm and Lamar Jackson's arm, Lamar's arm looks like a noodle compared to Kyler's arm. I'm just being honest. Of course, Kyler can make a wide receiver more relevant. But I get the comparison.
I don't know. In my opinion, I think Lamar can make a wide receiver more relevant than Kyler Murray.
No way. Absolutely not.
That's my opinion. I like Kyler Murray.
Well, welcome to the show where we disagree on everything.
Bro, if really quick, if you say, if you're listening, there's people out there. If you would have a fantasy wide receiver on your team right now, your wide receiver one, would you rather have that quarterback be Kyler Murray or Lamar Jackson?
This is actually really easy.
I would like to know. I would personally go Lamar Jackson.
This is super easy. Would you rather have DeAndre Hopkins on the Cardinals or the Ravens? Super easy. And I think everyone's going to say the Cardinals. I'm just being real. But
who knows?
Wow, look at us. We don't agree on something.
Look at us. Hey, look at us. Look at us. Huh? Who would have thought? Not me.
That happens far too often, and it should be that way. Okay, Marshall's a big body wide receiver. Let's give some love to the little guys, though. Okay, enough of the big body. This is the new NFL.
That's right.
Tyreek Hill. It's a Henry Ruggs. All the small guys making an impact. Oh, let's talk about Rondale Moore out of Purdue. Only 5'9", 175 pounds. 175 pounds is not much. I mean, I am a pretty skinny, small guy, and I'm not that big, but I have no chance of being in the NFL is what I'm trying to say. I know it's not a good comparison.
You're not 175 pounds either.
I'm not 175 pounds either. No, I'm not. I'm 135, but still, that being said, that has been his issue for Rondale Moore's career.
Right.
He hasn't been able to stay healthy. In 2018, Rondale Moore, according to PFF, his freshman season was the most elusive season by a Power 5 wide receiver since 2014. Let's look at 2018 then, his freshman year. 114 receptions, which is crazy to say in college. 114 receptions is insane.
Yeah.
1,258 yards and 12 touchdowns as a freshman. When that year happened, people were saying, oh my God, this guy is going to be a first round pick. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the NFL draft in 2021. What happened after that freshman year then? What's the disconnect?
Injuries. That's it. That's really it. He was injury prone. He couldn't stay in the game. He struggled with his injuries, and that was really it. It sounds like I'm trying to think of more, and it's not that there's more. Obviously, he had that lower leg injury, which really, really, hurt him. He hyperextended his leg, but it's really just injuries. He had the leg injury, he had the shoulder injury. So many injuries.
Yeah, and undisclosed health issues, which is something that a GM should be worried about if it's an undisclosed health issue.
Yeah.
Look, he's not the biggest guy at all, okay? This guy still looks young. I mean, in his brace, he's got braces in his photos. When we started scouting this guy, we're like, why is this guy still got braces? Obviously, he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But look, people got braces. Let's talk about his strengths. He does have top end speed. He's got great acceleration, agility, balance. He's dangerous in space. What is that? The modern day NFL. He's dangerous in space. He's a scrappy player who fights for extra yards. And the thing I noticed the most about him, Badaki, pound for pound, he might be the strongest wide receiver in this draft. I'm not saying he is, but take pound for pound. What does that mean? Take his size, equivalate. I don't think that's a word. Equivalate. I'm going to use it anyway. To a bigger wide receiver, he is pound for pound the strongest runner.
Okay.
This guy runs with no fear. And I think maybe that's why he does have injury issues, is because he does run without fear.
Right.
But he is a guy that you want on your team. He's a guy that you want as a wide receiver to create space for. The injury issues have been a big part of his game. I have him as my wide receiver 6, in this draft. Badaki has him as his wide receiver 7. He does have that Swiss Army
wide
knife
receiver
type
8.
ability.
Sorry.
You have him as your wide receiver 8. Oh,
yeah, I swapped
okay.
it. Sorry, I swapped it.
That's okay. What made you move him down then?
Look, obviously we'll get more into the next guy we're talking about. We're talking about the Rondale Moore and then Elijah Moore. But I think Rondale Moore is really just his size and his injuries. Okay, his size. He's a lot smaller. When I say smaller, I mean weight wise.
Is this Rondale Moore?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're talking about the Moore brothers. Go ahead.
So Rondale Moore is a lot smaller than Elijah Moore. Okay. When I say smaller, I mean in weight. And I think
physical size.
I think Elijah Moore can put on more body weight, which I believe that can excel him to another level than where Rondale Moore can't go. Sorry, a lot of Moores, all this stuff. But yeah, 2
Moores, 1 podcast. That's the title of this one. Anyway, look, I think the reality is, guys, the NFL is every NFL team is looking at Tyreek Hill saying, I want one of those.
Exactly.
Give me one of those.
Exactly.
And both of these guys, the Moore brothers, which they're not related, are those kind of players. They are smaller, they're quick, they're great in space. What is Rondale Moore's upside? I think his ceiling is a Tyreek Hill type player. Realistically, he's probably more of a Curtis Samuel, is how I kind of see him playing. Great in space. He can play many different positions. But what are some landing spots that we like for Tyreek Hill, for Rondale Moore? What are some teams that make sense? And don't you dare say the Ravens. Don't you dare say the Ravens.
Absolutely not. Okay. Look, teams that need a little guy. I can think of Colts, Patriots, Titans. First team that came to mind that I like on this list that I would love to see him go to is the Titans. Obviously, they released Cole Beasley, if I'm not mistaken. They got rid of their little guy. Bro, bring Elijah Moore in. Rondale Moore. Bring one of the Moores. You know who we talking about.
We really shouldn't have talked about these guys on the same day. But yes, Badaki, I'm excited because we're finally on the same page. The Titans is a perfect landing spot for Rondale Moore. Mm-hmm. They have a big body A.J. Brown on the other side. They've got the biggest body maybe in the NFL and Derrick Henry in the backfield. This is great for this team.
Yeah.
Because let Corey Davis walk. He's a great wide receiver, but you don't have that money. Let him walk. Sign Rondale Moore. If Rondale Moore stays healthy, he can absolutely be another layer to this offense. You got the big body and A.J. Brown. Well, now you got the quick, small little guy and Rondale Moore who can make an impact on your team. Okay, from Rondale Moore to his brother from another mother. Can't believe I just said that. help me. Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. He's 5'9", 184 pounds. Let's talk about him. I mean, to be fair, he has progressed every year as a wide receiver at Ole Miss.
Yeah,
okay.
he has.
And in 2020, he put up a very respectable stat line: 86 receptions, just under 1,200 yards, and 8 touchdowns. Where's the kicker? In just 8 games, he hauled in at least 10 catches in every game but one. What position do you see Elijah Moore playing? Is he limited to a certain position in the NFL because of that size?
I think he could be limited. It'd be interesting where people would use him, but he's likely a slot wide receiver in the NFL. I see him, like we said, if we really wanted to compare him early before we get into it, I like a Curtis Samuel. I like a Corey Davis. Right? I think I see him. That's what I see in Elijah Moore. He's quick. He's fast.
Well, a lot of comps we've seen is a Kiki QT. So, I mean, look, he is my wide receiver 8 out of the 8 we are covering on this and last week's podcast. So I'm not as high on him. You only have him at 7, so it's not like you're like, this is a god. But what did you see about his game that you liked?
So, excuse me. Obviously, he seems to be in the right place at all times. Let's be honest. He has a high IQ on the field, which is great. He catches literally every ball, almost a majority of the ball that comes his way, which means he has great hands. Okay, he has great after the catch ability. We all love that one for football and for fantasy. Let's be honest. He has no health issues. So that means he's a durable player. Okay, and he has an amazing speed, great straight line speed. Look, I think Elijah Moore is the better of the Moore brothers, even though they're not brothers. Okay. He is, in my opinion. I
disagree. I like Rondale Moore better, but I see where you're coming from. And one thing I wanted to highlight what you said is the high IQ. Because while Elijah Moore, when I watch his tape, I am severely underwhelmed. And in one specific area, he just doesn't look fast. Like it feels like he should be a quicker wide receiver with his skill set, in my opinion. But that being said, he does have an insane ability to create and find open space. He is in the right place at the right time. And if you're a smarter wide receiver, you can create opportunities for yourself.
Absolutely.
That maybe others wouldn't because they're not as smart. They just have more physical abilities. But he does have some weaknesses to his game.
Yeah.
Let's be clear. Below average release on routes, has been known to quote unquote play watch when he's not involved in a play. That's not helpful, and I bet every coach in the NFL is not going to like seeing that. Inconsistent bursts on his routes. A lot of people have seen comparisons to Kiki QT. And is that disrespectful, or is that more like, hey, Kiki QT is a good wide receiver, he just didn't live up to his potential? Which one?
He's not good, bro. I don't think Kiki QT is good. I personally, like I said, when a little bit earlier I said I liked him more as a Corey Davis, and I like that position, and potential landing spots for Elijah Moore is I think Elijah Moore is probably shorter than Corey Davis. Maybe his weight and build is a little bit different. But once again, he can put on that weight. He plays as if he's a bigger guy already. He plays as a slot receiver. And I still like, potential landing spots for me is going to the Titans.
Let me ask you quickly. When you say you like him as Corey Davis, does that mean that he's going to be really terrible until his last year of his contract and then have a little breakout?
I believe.
What should we expect? And then he's like, actually, I'm a great wide receiver. Now it's time to pay me, just so you guys are aware.
I don't know, man. I hope that doesn't happen for him. I really hope that doesn't happen.
Jokes aside, what's a good landing spot for him?
Once again, the Titans. I see him going to the Titans. I like that same comparison with Rondale Moore and Elijah Moore. Elijah, like you said, they don't have the money to re-sign Corey Davis. Get one of these. Get one of the Moore brothers. I think they both kind of complement each other.
Okay. I think the other teams that make sense are the Packers and the Bears. The Packers need a wide receiver too, alongside Devontae Adams. Could Elijah Moore be that guy? Yes. Does Aaron Rodgers enjoy players who catch the ball consistently? Yes. Checks 2 boxes. The Bears, I mean, let's be honest, if Allen Robinson leaves, they do need another player to fill in the wide receiver room. All right, guys. So to clarify, Badaki, to end the show, let's give people our rankings.
Okay.
Our top 8 wide receivers. I'll go first. Jamar Chase at 1, Devontae Smith at 2, Jalen Waddle at 3, Rashad Bateman at 4, Kadarius Toney at 5, Rondale Moore at 6, Terrace Marshall at 7, and Elijah Moore at 8. And your rankings go?
Yeah, Jamar Chase 1, 2 Devontae Smith, 3 Jalen Waddle, 4 Terrace Marshall, 5 Rashad Bateman, 6 Kadarius Toney, 7 Elijah Moore, 8 Rondale Moore.
So to clarify, I see Bateman higher. You see Terrace Marshall higher.
Right.
I see Toney higher. And you see Elijah Moore higher than Rondale Moore.
And look, for Terrace Marshall and Rashad Bateman, it's minuscule. The difference.
Okay.
Completely minuscule. I think
Okay.
I have him a little bit higher, purely Terrace Marshall, purely because of size. And
Right.
I think that gives him the edge that I think a lot of NFL teams would like. Other than that,
Okay.
I believe it's very minuscule for the two talents.
Got it. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining the podcast today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. Hopefully we've put people on your radar that you maybe knew a little bit. Now you know a little bit more. I think a lot of these players will be relevant in dynasty leagues. I think every one of these guys should be on a team in a dynasty league.
Absolutely.
Because you never know what will happen. Not every one of them should be drafted, but every one of them should be in a redraft league, but every one of them should be drafted in dynasty.
Correct.
Hopefully you've enjoyed this. How do we want to finish the show here, Badaki? You want to tell people about how they could support us? How they could support Fantasyland Football?
Absolutely. Look, as always, patreon.com/fantasylandfam. It's a great way for you to support the show if you like what we're doing on all platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Clubhouse. We're trying to get Clubhouse rooms. It's a great way for you to support the show. If you're first time listener and you like what the information that we're giving you, come support the show. Sign up.
Yeah.
Let's gear up for year 2 in Fantasyland Football.
Absolutely. And when you support the show, you get exclusives in return.
Absolutely.
Right?
It's all about exclusives.
You get the opportunity. There's a lot of exclusives on there that you unlock. So while you're supporting us, we are also giving back to you. We're about to launch our year 2 on Patreon. Join the family. Support us if you'd like. So thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your day. We'll see you on the next podcast. Free Agent Frenzy, Wide Receivers, Part 2.
Oh,
We'll see you there. Have a good one. See you there.
see you there.
Hey, yeah, you, the one listening to this podcast, you made a good decision today. Keep making those good decisions. You know what? Go ahead and do a little dance right now, like no one's watching. 'Cause you deserve it.